It started with flashing lights and fear. A black woman, handcuffed on the side of a cold city street, her knees pressed into the concrete as officers shouted commands she couldn't understand. Her name was Maya Jefferson, a respected attorney, a woman of law and justice. But that night, none of it mattered. They said she fit the description. They dragged her to the station, humiliated her, and in the name of procedure, shaved her head. She lost more than her hair that night. She lost faith in the system she'd dedicated her life to. But 2 years later, when those same cops stood trial, no one expected who would walk in as the judge. Watch until the end. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. The officers approached with their hands already on their holsters. Maya rolled down her window, calm, polite, professional. She identified herself as an attorney heading home from work. They didn't listen. One officer ordered her out of the car. The other checked her plates, muttering about a stolen vehicle report. She tried to reason, but her words evaporated into the cold night air. The next moments felt like a nightmare. Hands forced her against the hood. The chill of metal cuffs bit into her wrists. The wet ground soaked through her clothes as she was shoved to her knees. Neighbors peeked from windows, phones recording. To them, she was just another headline waiting to happen. At the station, they laughed as they processed her. Her license, her credentials, her briefcase, all ignored. "Procedure," they said as they took her fingerprints and mugshot. Then came the order for a search, one so invasive it stripped her of dignity. When Maya protested, they restrained her and shaved her head, claiming it was for safety. Hours later, after a supervisor verified her identity, the truth hit them. She was who she claimed to be, a respected attorney, not a suspect. They released her quietly, hoping she'd disappear. But Maya didn't disappear. In the days that followed, she tried to bury the trauma under her work. Yet every reflection, every case she handled, carried that moment with her, the sound of clippers, the laughter of men who saw her not as a woman of law, but as something less. When she filed a lawsuit, the city tried to settle. She refused. Some battles, she said, weren't about money. They were about principle. 2 years later, the case reached trial. The city buzzed with anticipation. The officers, once confident, now sat pale-faced at the defense table. Cameras lined the courthouse steps. Civil rights activists gathered outside, chanting Maya's name. Inside, the tension was thick. Reporters whispered, attorneys shuffled papers, and the bailiff announced the arrival of the presiding judge. Then, the door opened. The room fell silent. Maya Jefferson, once the woman on the ground, walked in wearing her black judicial robe. Her hair had grown back, but her composure, her unbroken spirit, was what silenced the crowd. She took her seat at the bench, eyes steady, voice firm. The officers' faces drained of color. They recognized her instantly. The same woman they humiliated now held their fate in her hands. The irony was poetic. She did not gloat. She did not tremble. She began. "Court is now in session." Every word was measured, calm, deliberate, a reflection of grace under fire. And though she followed every rule, every statute, there was a quiet power in her presence. They had tried to strip her of dignity. Instead, they revealed her strength. In that moment, justice didn't just return. It stood taller than ever. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Maya presided with fairness and restraint, never letting emotion cloud her duty. The world watched, expecting revenge. What they saw instead was integrity, a woman who embodied the very justice that had once failed her. When the verdict came, the officers were found guilty of misconduct and abuse of power. The department issued public apologies, the city promised reforms, and the headlines told a story that would echo for generations. But for Maya, it wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming what they tried to take, her voice, her power, her identity. After the final gavel struck, she stepped outside into the sunlight. Reporters shouted her name, cameras flashed, but she barely heard them. She looked up at the courthouse, a symbol she once doubted, and whispered a promise to herself. Justice must always rise higher than hate. Her story became a rallying cry, a reminder that strength can come from the very pain meant to break you. Because sometimes, the greatest justice isn't in punishment, but in perseverance. Maya Jefferson stood as living proof that even when a system fails you, you can rise above it and lead it to change. So, what do you think? Can justice truly heal what prejudice destroys? Tell me in the comments, which country and city are you watching from? Take care.